let's talk about what you can expect astrologically for the month of March, which is coming up so soon. Oh my gosh. Okay, before I get into it, feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content and you feel so inclined. I have my email in the description if you have any questions. I have my website in the description if you would like to book a reading with me. I also have an email list going, so if you sign up for that, you will receive exclusive little astrological insights. And as soon as you sign up, you'll also receive a discount code off of any reading of your choosing or readings. I offer a lot of different stuff. Okay, let's get into it. So I'm sure you've heard, if you are in the astrology circle, that March is going to be a really crazy month. And the rumors are true. March is going to be quite the doozy. There's going to be a lot of movement. There's going to be a lot of motion. So the first thing I want to address with March, which is probably the biggest thing, is the fact that Venus will enter its retrograde phase March 1st. Like, March is kicking off with a bang. So March 1st, Venus will enter its retrograde period. It is going to start in Aries, and then it's going to move back into Pisces. So it's going to go all the way until April 12th. So it's going to be like a little over 5 weeks of kind of chaos. Now, I did make an entire video, it's like 30 minutes long, on the Venus retrograde coming up. So if you want just exclusive Venus retrograde content, you can check out that video. I will link it in the description. So, but I will kind of do like a gist of what you can expect. So the Venus retrograde, obviously, you know, a really prominent side effect of Venus retrograde is that people from the past can come back. And this is really going to affect those that have prominent Aries and Pisces placements, or if you have an Aries or Pisces ruled 5th house or 7th house. And that's because 5th house rules over romance, 7th house rules over relationships. So check your houses. If you have an Aries or Pisces 5th or 7th, people are probably going to come back from the past. And then of course, if you have like Aries Venus, Pisces Venus, Aries rising, Pisces rising, Sun, Moon, just prominent Aries Pisces in your chart, you're going to feel the effects of the Venus retrograde really intensely. Cardinal signs, because when it is in Aries, it's going to square and oppose. You're also going to feel this really intensely. So the good thing about Venus retrograde is if your relationship is like on thin ice, basically what's either going to happen is you are going to sink or swim. So I don't want you to be scared that Venus retrograde comes around and you might be feeling like, oh, does that mean I'm going to break up with my partner? No. If you're in a bad relationship, yes, this could give you the push you need. If you're in a good relationship, no, this can bring you stronger, closer together. It could also just know, for some couples, especially again, if you have a lot of cardinal energy or mutable energy when Venus goes back into Pisces. So Gemini, Sag, Virgo, especially Virgo risings, Pisces, of course. If you have a lot of mutable or cardinal, this could note some type of relationship conflict that you have to mend. It could note, again, a compromise that needs to be established. It could also just note a lot of movement and activity in your relationship. So making plans, brainstorming, proceeding, moving forward with different things. There might be a little bit of chaos, but it's not going to be necessarily unfavorable. For some people, the Venus retrograde is going to be very much about finances, especially if you have a Pisces or Aries ruled 2nd house or 8th house. So again, check your houses. This is going to be a lot of financial stuff coming up. And not just for those people, but everyone's going to probably feel it financially in some way. I went into depth about what you can expect financially in my Venus retrograde video, but it could just note money coming back to you. It could note maybe you finally get an opportunity to clear away some debts. Tax season is coming up, ironically enough. Kind of perfect energy for Venus retrograde, especially in the sign of Pisces. That's endings, letting things go, taking care of things that are kind of annoying. So anyway, that's kind of a good gist of what you can expect for Venus retrograde. And before anyone asks, if you must do something physically, I personally think it's a good time to experiment with, like hair. changing your hair, whatever. Of course, you want to proceed with medical stuff. If you have medical appointments, you know, those are things you need to consult your doctor about. Don't worry too much about the Venus retrograde. Venus doesn't have very much to do with health. It's more aesthetics. So when it comes to aesthetics, like again, hair, that's something that, you know, if you want to change your hair, sure. If you don't. I don't put too much weight on those things. I will say just be mindful with elective surgery, like filler, Botox, things like that, like kind of those more surface level things that still require like some medical stuff wrapped up in there. Anything that's like not necessary, that's going to be kind of your call. I would maybe wait on some of those things. Like I wouldn't necessarily advise getting a tattoo. If the appointment's already booked, like if you booked it before the Venus retrograde, you're fine, like whatever. Again, you don't have to put too much weight on those things, but it's up to you, your call. I would personally wait on things like tattoos, piercings, and anything that's like elective, that isn't medically necessary. I would personally wait, but you don't want to slow your life for a retrograde, just be mindful. Okay, so that's the first really big thing happening. Now, another really big thing happening this month is going to be the Mercury retrograde. And the Mercury retrograde is going to be really amplified because it will be coinciding with Venus retrograde. So on March 14th, Mercury is going to begin its retrograde phase. It's starting in Aries, just like Venus, and it will be moving back into Pisces, just like the Venus retrograde. So Mercury retrograde will begin on March 14th. It's going to go all the way to April 7th. So the tricky thing is that Mercury and Venus will be retrograding at the same time. This is literally going to amplify both of these planets. So you're going to feel this retrograde really, both of them really, really intensely. It doesn't really matter what signs you have in your chart, like everyone's going to feel it. And like I said earlier, you know, the cardinal and the mutable sign heavy people, they're going to be feeling it probably on an extra level, but everyone's going to be feeling it in general. So the Mercury retrograde, this one is tricky because when it starts in Aries, this could note things left unsaid that are kind of being stirred back up. So think about it like the pot that has been on a simmer and maybe you've kind of forgotten about it. It's now going to be stirred again. So this can be a sensitive time period. There can be some conflict. It is gonna, again, depend. So if you have an Aries or Pisces ruled 3rd house or 11th house, on a social level, like friendships, colleagues, this can be kind of a weird time for you. This could note some type of confrontation, addressing some type of issue. If you have an Aries or Pisces ruled 4th house, this could note some type of family conflict, something in your family where a conversation basically has to be had. There's something that has to be hashed out. If you have an Aries or Pisces ruled 5th or 7th, that's probably going to impact your romantic relationship. It might be that there has been kind of a reoccurring issue or a reoccurring karmic theme in your relationship, especially for, you know, people who are in long-term relationships. There might be a reoccurring theme that kind of pops back up, and you have to kind of do away with it once and for all, especially because Mercury will be starting in Aries, which represents new beginnings, and then going back into Pisces, which represents endings. So this is kind of like you want to address the problem so that when Venus does station direct and move forward back into Aries, you're starting new. So think of this. Did I say Venus? I meant Mercury. I don't know what I said just now. Basically, think of this Mercury retrograde as a time in which old conflicts can come back up, but you're given the opportunity to address them and confront them kind of once and for all. This is very much kind of like a make or break Mercury retrograde where it's like, okay, if you don't have it, if you and your whoever is on the other side of that social relationship, if you and that person cannot reach a resolve, you might have hit a brick wall. You might have, the relationship might have been taken basically as far as it can go. And that's never a fun thing to admit, but you need to be honest with yourself during the Mercury retrograde, especially because Mercury will eventually be going back into Pisces. Pisces is a very tricky sign. It's really elusive. It's very passive. It's avoidant. It's an escapist. It has a lot of, it brings obsession with it. It brings addiction with it. It is, when I think of Pisces like personified, it's like a human being wearing rose-colored glasses, and they've got a drink in one hand and a cigarette in another hand, and they got their glasses on, and they're rose-colored glasses, but they're like shades, you know what I mean? They're like kind of dark, and they don't really know where they're going because they're kind of in a haze. Like, that is Pisces. Pisces energy, it doesn't do very well in the material, because Pisces is a very spiritual sign. Pisces is like operating in a different realm. So the material reality that we all live in, Pisces really struggles with the material reality, which is why they turn to things like vices, why they have a reputation for kind of being drinkers. They're the fish, you know, one is swimming up, one is swimming down. So they're in opposite directions. This can muddle communication so intensely. So with Pisces, when Mercury moves back into Pisces, you need to be really diligent about making sure what you're saying is precise, it's concise, you're saying exactly what you mean to say, and you're not leaving room for vague whatever and assumptions. If I were you during the Mercury retrograde, if you are prone to misunderstandings via text, have a phone call, hash it out in person. You really want to maximize the potential here for mutual understanding. You don't want to leave room, again, for gray, for cloudiness, for fogginess, for assumptions. That's not going to help the situation. So when it comes to communicating during this Mercury retrograde, you need to try extra hard. I would say more so than really any other Mercury retrograde when it comes to like Mercury being in a sign. The Pisces one is just really intense, and you need to really make sure you are being transparent. And if that means you need to alter the way that you speak, or you have to try extra hard to, and also this notes a time where you need boundaries. That's another really big thing with Pisces Mercury. When Mercury does move back into Pisces, you need boundaries. This is kind of part of being firm and transparent, being concise. If someone is if someone is like burdening you in a way that is just, it's gone too far and you're feeling used or taken advantage of, you need to like lay down the law. You need to put your foot down. You need to say no. You need to, for some, you know, no is enough. But for some of us, we like to kind of give an explanation. You need to be firm in your explanation. You need to be kind of stubborn. Take a hint from the fixed signs. Take a hint from your Taurus friend or your Leo friend, Aquarius, Scorpio. They have no problem saying no with no explanation. Like, that is something that we can all kind of take a hint from during this Mercury retrograde. Especially because Mercury is going to be in a cardinal sign, Aries, and then a mutable sign, Pisces. There's not really any fixed energy going on, maybe because for the fixed signs, this isn't really like their lesson to learn. But for everybody else, yes, we need to kind of lay down the law and get firm. So another thing with the Mercury retrograde coming up is that, you know, a trope being technology can get wonky, car trouble. So always before Mercury retrograde, check your oil, check your tires, make sure your car is in working order, make sure you're backing up your files, make sure you are saving whatever you need to save, be mindful about like the mail, make sure you're staying on top of your mail, make sure you're staying on top of your correspondences. Pisces is very, because of how foggy it is, it's easy to like misinterpret information, and that can include dates, scheduling things. You know, if you're told to be at a certain place at a certain time, you might kind of forget, or you might show up to the wrong place, you get your addresses mixed up. So you got to be really diligent. And the same is true for travel. Traveling can be kind of weird during this time. A big piece of advice I have is make sure you have a luggage tag if you are traveling. Make sure your name, your number, everything is printed on it. And if you can, like if it's in the budget, you should probably get a piece of luggage that is like quirky, or it's like hot pink with polka dots. Like, try to diversify your luggage a little bit so that it is you know what I mean? Like, it is unmistakably yours, and no one can be like, oops, I thought that was mine. It's like, okay, but how many people have like a hot pink polka dot, you know, suitcase with unicorns on it? Not that many. So you want to like try to make sure that you are unmistakably you during this time as well, and everything, you know, if you're traveling and things like that. So just be mindful. Things can go missing during this time, but as things go missing, things can also be discovered. So when Mercury does, move through Aries, goes back into Pisces, you might find something that has been lost for like 3 years. You might literally find something that you completely forgot was even missing because it's been so long. And again, this kind of ties back to the fact people from the past can pop back up. Certain memories can surface. So you can have kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a memory jump, memory recollection. Just certain things from the past can kind of make their way to you. This can be a good thing. It could be maybe an emotionally triggering kind of thing. So you're definitely going to want to protect your emotional capacity during this time, I guess, is what I'm looking for. Take care of yourself. You might be extra tired. You might be needing more rest when Mercury's in Pisces. And when Mercury's in Aries and it's like retrograding back, you might feel restless, like you might feel kind of agitated. You might be wanting to move forward in life, but there's certain things that you have to address first. That's where that Mercury retrograde in Pisces comes into play. Mercury retrograde in Aries wants to go, 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 go. They want to move. They want to get on with their projects. They want to get on with their life. But you're being pulled back. Like you are being dragged to the past to deal with things. All right. It's not very fun, but it'll be really emotionally healing. It'll be really therapeutic. It's just all around an emotionally trying time, but very rewarding. I will make a much longer video on Mercury retrograde and I will go over how it'll affect like each sign and stuff. So stay tuned for that. Now get this. The same day Mercury begins its retrograde phase on March 14th, we are having a lunar eclipse in Virgo at 23 degrees. So if you abide by the Placidus housing system, which I do, go look at your chart, look at your Virgo ruled house, look at the degree. If it's, before 23 degrees, if you have like a Virgo 5th at 5 degrees, the lunar eclipse is occurring in your 5th house, if that is the house I just gave the example of. My memory is like somewhere else right now. So the Virgo lunar eclipse, this is really, really important for your health. Okay, and we are also having an Aries solar eclipse at 9 degrees on March 29th. Now, Virgo and Aries, even though they are in conjunct signs, which means that they don't really have that much in common, think again. Something they have in common is the body, okay? The body is really important for Virgo and Aries. Why? Because Virgo rules over health. Virgo is very neurotic. It's very... it rules over like the nervous system, the digestive system. It's Mercury ruled, which Mercury rules over, the nervous system. But Virgo's all about health, order, routine, okay? Running errands, doctor appointments. Aries is just a very physical sign. It's very primal. It's very it's hormonal. Its pheromones are going crazy. It's all about survival. It's willpower. So Aries is very much the body in its most like primitive expression. So it's the body as it is. So having a lunar eclipse in Virgo followed by a solar eclipse in Aries, this is so, so important for your physical body. So for the month of March, you need to take care of your body. You need to take preventative care if necessary. Meaning, just stay on top of things. If it is accessible and affordable to you, I don't know where you live. I live in America. The healthcare here is just no words. But if you live here and it is accessible and affordable, please make sure you are staying on top of routine maintenance. Okay, so I don't want this to scare you. I don't want you to feel like, oh my God, I'm gonna get really sick or something horrible is gonna happen. I just want you to keep up with your routine maintenance. I want you to get labs if you need to get labs. If you've already done all that, good, great. But just stay on top of things. And of course, I'm not a medical professional. I am just a professional astrologer. As always, you want to consult medical professionals for medical advice. Okay, this is not a substitute for that. This is entertainment only, okay? But, your health is going to come up this month. So, especially for people that have prominent Virgo and prominent Aries in their chart, because the eclipses will be, passing through. They will be conjunct and passing over. So keep up with that. And also if you have an Aries 6th or a Virgo 6th house, Okay, health is very important. The same true as well if you have like a Virgo or Aries 8th house or a Virgo or Aries 12th house. Okay, so what we're really looking for is 6th, 8th, and 12th. If you have Virgo, Aries ruled 6th, 8th, or 12th, please be extra mindful about your health during this time. Just you want to protect your immune system. And I know this sounds kind of crazy, but you also want to be careful with what you're eating during this time. I'm not even talking about going on a crazy diet. I don't condone crazy diets at all. I do, encourage healthy eating and eating, whatever your body is craving, finding like the healthy solution to that, but you want to be mindful of what you eat, especially like things that are known to kind of be you want to make sure your food is being prepared properly, like seafood. Foods that are kind of notorious for, if they're not prepped correctly, yes, you can get food poisoning. Okay, so please be mindful about what you're eating. Make sure everything is clean. Make sure you're going to restaurants that are reputable. And if you're a foodie risk taker like I am and you love oysters and sushi and things like that, just make sure you're going to like a reputable place and stuff like that. You don't want to get food poisoning. Not saying you will get food poisoning, but again, in making sure your body's all good. Virgo rules over the digestive system. Okay, you want to take care of that. You also want to be mindful because Aries rules over the head. You want to be mindful with your head, wear helmets if you're going on a bike ride. Basically, don't like skimp out on safety features. Okay, we live in a modern society. We have safety features for a reason. Back then, the lifespan was like 25, 30. Okay, now we live long lives. It's a miracle. Don't take it for granted. Use the safety features that are available to you. Okay, wear a helmet, wear your seatbelt, wear your knee pads. Wear all the things that maybe you feel kind of like dorky wearing them, but it keeps you safe. You'd rather look like a dork than look like a corpse. Okay? So be safe, be mindful with your body. Another thing these eclipses can bring is an increased drive to do something. Now, this is tricky because these eclipses are occurring with all of these retrogrades, Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde, and that's going to stall a lot of our, for some, I don't want to say all of ours, but for some people, it's going to kind of stall your life a little bit. So this is kind of tricky because on the inside, you're like, go, go, go. I want to get these things done. I have ambition. I have motivation. I have drive. I want to put my plans into action. But the Mercury and Venus retrograde can kind of come in and be like, all right, whoa, 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 hang on. Hang on, are you vetting this? Are you thinking this through? Are you focusing on sustainability or are you just focusing on immediate gratification? Those are the questions you need to be thinking about and asking yourself. Am I focusing on long-term or am I just wanting immediate gratification? Think your plans through, okay? Especially with that solar eclipse in Aries. Now, the good thing is the Virgo lunar eclipse can kind of help you get more of your ducks in a row. All right, especially because the day it's occurring, March 14th, Mercury's going to start retrograde. So this can help you get your ducks in a row. This can help you revisit things that are lingering. Have a yard sale. Donate clothes that have been sitting in your closet that you haven't worn in 5 years. You know what I mean? Like finally go into your basement and clean some stuff out. What you're really doing is you're kind of like addressing the skeleton in the closet, but in a material way. And that can be really emotionally healing. Getting rid of clutter that's been lying around, taking care of bills that have been sitting around that, maybe this Venus retrograde kind of gives you the opportunity to pay some of them off if you are fortunate enough to get some type of financial return or, whatever the case may be, an uptick in financial movement, which is possible during the Venus retrograde for some people. So yeah, this is the time to get your affairs in order. Now, for that solar eclipse Aries, I actually really love this, even though there is like a need to be cautious and mindful and patient because it is Aries. This could note good news. This could note some type of personal triumph and achievement. And this personal triumph and achievement, it might be unorthodox. And what I mean by that is it might not be a milestone that is necessarily honored by society. I think society has kind of a skewed view of what is deemed an achievement and what is like maybe not recognized as important. but you can have some type of personal triumph come the end of the month that you feel really good about, whether or not society validates it. And I want you to know how important it is to validate yourself, especially because we do live in a society that prioritizes certain achievements over others, but every achievement is really valuable, especially if it makes you feel better about yourself, especially if it allows you to feel healthier in your body, your mind, your spirit, your emotional state of existence. So this can note a big milestone or achievement for you on a personal level. This is also really good for setting health goals. Like if you have certain health goals you want to meet, March is a time where you can really get serious about them and really kind of crack down and kind of gain that, again, that sustainability, that momentum to actually formulate, curate some type of health plan that works for you in the long term. Okay, so this eclipse season for March, think about it as like really taking care of things that matter, getting rid of clutter, getting ducks in a row, taking care of your health. It's kind of a little bit more of a monotonous thing, especially because Venus and Mercury will be retrograding at the same time. There's only so much we can get done, but I think it'll be really good, especially when September comes around. That'll be when we have our other two eclipses, and it'll be a really beautiful full circle moment where you can kind of look back at March and be like, wow, all the hard work I put into March is really paying off. Now, for the huge astrological event, Neptune will be moving into Aries on March 30th. This is monumental because Neptune is a slow-moving planet. All right, it stays in one sign for a very long time, like 12 years or so. If that's wrong, I'll write it on the screen. It might be like 12. No, I think 12 is right. I think 12 years is about right. It's an estimate, okay? But it stays in a sign for a long time, for like a little over a decade, basically. So Neptune moving into Aries is so monumental, okay? It's amazing. I'm very excited for this. Now, keep in mind, it is eventually going to retrograde back into Pisces, okay, like one last time, but we are still getting some movement, okay? Neptune is moving into Aries. This is new beginnings. Aries represents new beginnings. It's spring, it's hope, it's faith, it's a leap of faith. It's the ability to trust that everything will work out, because everything has worked out since the dawn of time, when you want to look at it from kind of like an environmental, ecological, if that's the right word, standpoint. Like, yes, species come and species go, but the galaxy is still here, right? In astrology, we're all about the planets and the stars and asteroids and whatever. The galaxy remains. Whatever happens to us, whatever happens to earthly matters, it's not as significant as, you know, everything else going on. We're just a small part of it. We are a tiny little dot in a sea of just wonder and mysticism, right? So it's like the world, the galaxy, it keeps going. Whether or not Earth is always going to be part of that, you know what I mean? But that's why we need to embrace the present and embrace where we are right now. It's so miraculous. So Neptune moving into Aries, I feel like I am making it seem like something is going to happen to the Earth. That is not at all what I meant. I just mean, like, you know, Neptune moving into Aries is kind of this reminder that it's like everything has its day and there's a regeneration. It's like winter. Everything's barren. It feels cold. It feels scary. Can you imagine the first people that went through winter? It's like, what the hell is going on? But then spring comes around and it's like, oh my gosh, okay. And it's the seasons of life. And I feel like that is what Neptune in Aries is really going to embody, especially because Neptune in Pisces is just plain depressing. It's endings, it's like, it's addiction, it's relapse. It's so hard to think clearly. And this is felt on a generational level because Neptune is such a big planet. This affects the entire globe. This affects society. Neptune in Pisces is like dismantling structures. It's the illusion that is bursting before our eyes. Okay, it's kind of coming to this understanding that what's happening in the material realm is not very sustainable. And I think when Neptune was in Pisces, I mean, it still is, but the whole idea being like, life has felt like a big play or a big joke or a big dream. Like, wait, how did we get here? We're all very lost. We've lost, as the kids would say, we've lost the plot. So Neptune going into Aries, I think, will be a really good thing long term. I think it's really going to give society as a whole, all of us, a newfound sense of direction, new priorities, new values, new beliefs. And I think the entire trajectory of Neptune in Aries, which I'll make a video on, I think it's going to do wonders for just like permitting miracles. You know, Neptune, I talk a lot of stuff about Pisces and Neptune because they are kind of difficult, but they're very healing. They allow for clarity. They allow for spiritual enlightenment. There's this insightful, intuitive nature that comes with Neptune and Pisces, which again is why existing in the material is so difficult. We all know in our spirit and soul that like this is not what could be. You know, we live in this like rat race capitalist society, but everyone who's like not in a position of power is kind of like, why do we have to live this way? It's not necessary. It's not healthy. And we're all aware of that. We're gifted this beautiful earth, but what are we really doing with it? You know, it's kind of sad. It is sad. It's not kind of, it is. But I think Neptune moving into Aries will kind of be like a jolt to everybody's systems. It will allow for more fire. It will allow for more passion. It'll allow for more motivation. It's this feeling of like, okay, we really need to actually like stand up and protect our earth and protect each other. Like, what are we doing? There was kind of this lethargy with Neptune and Pisces. I think a lot of us have just kind of like slumped over and gave up because we feel powerless. Neptune in Aries, I think, is going to bring power back to where power kind of needs to be. There's this restoration process. And I think it's very much kind of an underdog kind of energetic combination with Neptune moving into Aries. It's kind of this like dark horse feeling. I just think it's going to be good. I think it's ultimately long-term going to be a really great thing. And I'm very curious to see how it all plays out. But Neptune moving into Aries is monumental. It's something to celebrate, especially because it's happening one day after the Aries solar eclipse. Like, how special is that? That is definitely something to celebrate and be happy and be proud of. If you're here, you're here. Like, there's just something to be, you know, to celebrate, I think. So that's everything I can think of for March. That was a big video. I am gonna, again, make a separate video for Mercury retrograde. I'm probably gonna make a separate video for the entire eclipse season, like March through September. And then of course, I'm gonna make a very hefty video on Neptune moving into Aries and what we can kind of expect from the timeline, especially because Saturn will be moving into Aries come May, I believe. Thank you so much if you watched this whole thing. I know it was a lot. Again, I have my email in the description if you have any inquiries or questions. I have my website in the description if you would like to book a reading with me. You can sign up for my email list and you get a discount and little exclusive astrological insights from yours truly. And feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Leave me a comment if this resonated, what you're looking forward to, you know, just whatever you want to share about your own insights as well, your own opinions and feelings. I love reading the comments and stuff. And also if you have any suggestions of content you would like to see, feel free to leave that in the comments below as well. Thank you.